stick in his hand. His clothes were torn and dirty as he stood there by my bed. He took off his three-cornered hat, and speaking low to me, he said, "We fought a revolution to secure our liberty. We wrote the Constitution as a shield from tyranny. For future generations, this legacy we gave. In this, the land of the free and home of the brave. The freedoms we secured for you, we'd hoped you'd always keep. But tyrants labored endlessly while your parents were asleep. Your freedom's gone, your courage lost. You're no more than a slave. In this, the land of the free and home of the brave. You buy permits to travel and permits to own a gun, permits to start a business or to build a place for one. On land that you believe you own, you pay a yearly rent, although you have no voice in saying how the money's spent. Your children must attend a school that doesn't educate, and your Christian values can't be taught according to the state. You read about the current news in a regulated press, and you pay a tax you do not owe to please the IRS. Your money is no longer made of silver nor of gold. You trade your wealth for paper so your life can be controlled. You pay for crimes that make our nation turn from God and shame. You've taken Satan's number. You've traded in your name. You've given government control to those who do you harm so they could burn down churches and seize the family farm and keep our country deep in debt. Put men of God in jail. Harass your fellow countrymen while corrupted courts prevail. Your public servants don't uphold the solemn oaths they've sworn. And your daughters visit doctors so their children won't be born. Your leaders send artillery and guns to foreign shores and send your sons to slaughter fighting other people's wars. Can you regain the freedoms for which we fought and died? Or don't you have the courage or the faith to stand with pride? And are there no more values for which you'll fight to save? Or do you wish your children to live in fear and be a slave? O sons of the Republic, arise, take a stand. Defend the Constitution, the supreme law of the land. Preserve our great republic and each God-given right. And pray to God to keep the torch of freedom burning bright. As I awoke, he'd vanished in the mist from whence he came. His words were true. We are not free, but we have ourselves to blame. For even now as tyrants trample each God-given right, we only watch and tremble, too afraid to stand and fight. If he stood by your bedside in a dream while you were asleep and wondered what remains of the freedoms he'd fought to keep, what would be your answer if he called out from the grave? Is this still the land of the free and home of the brave? God bless you. And God bless this republic.
Remember your training, and you will come back alive. And they dragged the girl off into the tunnel because she broke, ran, and the monsters got her and dragged her into the tunnel. Remember? Starship Trooper, the Klendatu landing. Yeah. Remember your training, and you will come back alive. Most important is stick together, stay focused, and master the trade. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is the second hour of the afternoon intelligence report. I'm Mark Kornke. One day closer to victory for all of our brothers and sisters on and behind the lines in occupied territories, northwest, northeast, east, and southeast. Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to us on LibertyTreeRadio.4mg.com, IndianaFreedomTalkRadio.com, and we are on AM and FM micro stations, CB base stations, and UltraNet, Hallmark and Golden Spike Technologies, east and west of the Mississippi, along with Alaska. Good afternoon to all of our friends out there in Lower 49, which includes the great state of Jefferson and CONUS, the outlying 2 states, the outlying 2 territories, and the clock. It is 6:08 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Today's date, it is Monday. It is the 16th of December. It is the 11th year of open Fabian Socialist and Soviet Socialist occupation of America with a K, 2019 Old Earth calendar. I'm giving it all she's got, Captain. 2019 year of crescendo, and we shall see what we shall see. But rule number 1, don't get caught flat-footed. Assume the worst, and you won't be disappointed. There you go. So in this case, again, we were talking about in the last hour order of battle. There are some other issues with regard to OPSEC, operational security. But first, again, a quick review. With regard to order of battle, phase 1 is potential fighting strength. What you do is you go through all of the local, state, county, well, forgive me, we'll do it in pecking order, from the local to the county, from the county to the state, and then federal assets. And there is one other one that we have not added and must. International interlocutory agreements, sister county, sister state, sister city programs. Now, I got to incorporate that. Let me ask you something. How many of you seen your news blurbs in your respective states? You know, it's really funny. We had foreign Polish troops in Chicago this weekend. They were practicing killing Chicagoans and Illinoisans, but it was really great because they were training here in America, and they're under the new Sister City interlocutory agreement, and they bring these foreign troops over, and they get to find out all about America with a K. And they are already established to cooperate in putting down the population. How many interlocutory sister county, sister state, sister city operations are in Virginia? The more leftist/red and yellow the zone, the larger the number of binding agreements and treaties. Oh, now, real quick here, one of the things to remember, and I mention this for a reason constantly, the MJTF, which is Multi-Jurisdictional Task Force, and JTF, Joint Task Force, both of these scams are used in order to operate a KGB-type interior police operation against the many people of the different states. What? In communist Russia, under the SSR system, Mongolians killed East Germans. East Germans killed, of course, other East Germans, but they mostly were killing people in the stands. Those who were operating and working off of the Iron Curtain East Wall, West Wall arrangement typically were not the people who lived there. Strange. Most of your Germans don't look like they have slanty eyes, flat faces, and yellow skin. No, that's because they're from one of the other SSRs way over in the east. By doing this, they had no problem keeping people from escaping because, again, as we're seeing in the U.S. now, having Connecticut and Maryland and Massachusetts secret police operate under regional police mechanisms and the MJTF operation murder Virginians in their homes to confiscate guns. Connecticut, New York State Police, New York State Police, and of course Pennsylvania police, run by the Jewish mob there, are sent to support killing Virginians in the western part of Virginia. New Jersey, the center and the epicenter of the filth, the excrement that is Homeland Security, a foreign agent of a foreign power operating inside the United States, provides manpower in the secret police format for extraction and extermination of resistance. Czechos. The New Jersey units are Czechos. They are Reds. They are hardcore communists. Understand that? You'll be doing just fine. Oh, you thought it was me, Virginia against Virginian. Well, this is phase 1. That's not forming up too well for Virginia with regard to the gun grabbers, is it? If we were to go just by the public information you can presently access, utilizing the Internet, Everybody's doing the cheer because they've, the counties and the townships are all getting together, and some of the villages and cities are getting together and saying they're pro-Second Amendment. The communists that make up Washington, D.C., District of Criminals, hate you. The characters in Washington, D.C. look down upon you. The characters in the District of Criminals have been occupying the northeastern part of Virginia for quite some time, and those filthy, rotten pigs hate the idea that the rest of you aren't going to get under their boot. So they're going to try to do all kinds of scurrilous crap. They're going to send people out at night, which right now we've already talked to people in Virginia, and I've explained them what to watch for. When they come in this time around, we don't let them escape. When they try to snoop and poop in someone's backyard, well, we're not going to get rid of them right away because we need to find out who sent them, but we're going to keep them. You need to be hunting them harder than they are hunting you. And we need to hunt hard and well because we need information. And those that they sent out that are with these secret police units offer information if you just take your time. Hold still. Hold still. Nobody else just hold still. Shut up and start speaking English again. You were speaking English earlier. You seem to be begging God in whatever tongue. Oh, that's Russian. I'm sorry. Okay, hold on. There you go. Yeah, I know it's Yiddish. I know. Slow down. We actually can figure some of that out. So you're with the ADL, you're with the Mossad, you're operating inside the United States. You came in to threaten and torture and murder some of the sheriffs and to try and sway the families. Oh, we're going to catch them on the ground. We catch them on the ground. We keep them. We don't hand them over to anybody.
Yeah, proper motivation. That's all it takes.
Yes. Please, tell me what is it like on the beach in Haifa? See how that works? These are all the multidimensional part of the battlefield that you're not supposed to be thinking about, which we've already coached people on, and we've talked about extensively. This, for whatever reason, and it really doesn't make any difference now, your enemy has decided to make this into a significant offensive, which obviously has been planned. This did not happen in a vacuum. This did not happen in the dark. Donald Trump knows completely about it. My personal position, and I don't care what you don't like Trump. Guys, I have been the most neutral to try and help, but I've also been doing this every step of the way. What have you done to prepare? Because let's look at it this way. The only people who are going to save you and take care of you are yourselves. So how much have you accomplished while you've had time to do that? Some of you are new listeners. We've had ample opportunity to continue to prepare. 3 years worth of sitting on your dead ass because you thought Trump was going to do something is obviously 3 years wasted, isn't it? 3 years, you should be comfortable to the point, and it won't, though it should be your favorite hobby to help to build the militia. The militia isn't some little 3% of the population. That's BS. That's you know what? The 3% thing is cool. Ride with it, run with it, do whatever you want with it. But I'm going to point something out. That was a BS story that came up in 1976. 1976. You want to know what that was done for? They were pushing the Declaration of Interdependence, and they wanted everybody to understand the globalist agenda of disarmament. Only a small percentage really would resist. The rest of you were all Nimrods who were going to go along with whatever the commies wanted or whatever the crown wanted, don't you know? And that's not true at all. In fact, I have pointed out, I can't hold it up to you, but I've got a pamphlet. I've got roll call books. I have them in file here from 1811. 1798, and I think the other one is from 1832. This book was a standard pamphlet / pocket book that every county sheriff or any of the members of the militia who were command had, which was a roll call book for every swing and dink who was a man in that county. And its purpose was because everyone was in the militia. Now, I'm amazed at how well they can shred, burn, and destroy history and make it disappear. But every county, the book was so standard. It's burgundy colored, actually, kind of a reddish burgundy. And for age, I would say it was probably maybe darker, but it's faded a little bit. But it's well made for what they were. They were a small task book type log ledger. And it's the militia. The front pages give you the basic code of the militia. There's only 2 pages to that for the whole of the militia for operations. You were exempt only if you were lame or if you were brain dead. In other words, you had to be a goof. You had to be, in fact, totally incompetent. That's the only way. If you were lame as in missing an arm and a leg, you could be exonerated from being in the militia. But if you chose to be in the militia, if you were missing a limb or you were gravely injured, there wasn't anything to stop you from helping and being in the militia. It's just you had the option to back out because you were incapacitated. The county coroner determined that. Every man in every county was a member of the militia at large, the militia corps. Every man. Not 3%, and far more than 3% fought in the American War for Independence. That's another BS lie. Let me point something out. Here's where that percentage thing came from. When the American War for Independence was being fought, the Continentals were created. And so from the states, percentages of people were cycled to the Continentals as auxiliaries/reserves, much like the Roman army had its regulars, and then it had auxiliary forces. Auxiliaries were made up of locals who were volunteers or were conscripted into legionary forces. Militaries have done this forever. Well, in this case with the Continentals, that's the percentage group. That's where that percentage thing came from. The rest of the militias of every one of the states were fully active and functioning inside the states all through the war and fought in the war. Let me ask you this. How many coastal batteries do you think were mounted and manned across the entire coastline of the colonies in 1775? Or, 1778. Let's go to 78. Do you know that it was in the thousands? Do you know how many men it took to man just the coastal artillery? How many militiamen manned the coastal batteries and coastal defense networks? See, when you paint a full, in-depth picture of just how expansive and how massive the number of forces were that fought, and you get a real picture, not the Hollywood 2-hour version, it wasn't a handful of people, it wasn't just 3%. Everybody was shooting at somebody at one point or another. There were lulls, there were stagnant areas, there were points where there were flare-ups, there were points where as the battle or the overall tide of the war changed, things went plus or minus in different counties and in different colonies/now states. And just because the big battles weren't there doesn't mean the fighting wasn't there. Okay? Just something to think about. So as it stands, and again for everybody out there, a reminder that especially with the situation the way that it is, the bad guys understand what I'm talking about. They believe that you're supposed to think you're the minority when in reality we are the majority. In fact, at the very least of the population, yeah, there are a bunch of ne'er-do-wells, there are a bunch of failures, there are a bunch of nincompoops. But we still outnumber the enemy. We even have a bunch of fuddlies who are going to try to betray you because they want to keep their single-barrel shotgun and figure that you're all evil for, possessing all the weapons you do, because the fuddlies will do that to you. They will screw you in the hind end so fast, they will backstab you so quick it'll make your head swim. An example is of what you're seeing in Virginia right now, where we just had first we're going to confiscate your guns. Oh, well, you're all getting ready to shoot us, so, look, we'll back off. They aren't backing off. First of all, they aren't even in. Oh, we'll take out we'll put a grandfather clause in. They haven't done it yet. And you'll all have to register your guns. Oh, wait a minute. First you told us you were going to confiscate all the guns. So the only reason you want us to register the guns is so you can confiscate the guns, which you already told us you were going to do. But wait, let's go halfway. If you just register all your guns, we promise we will never come back in 6 months and demand, or 3 months, or maybe next month, and come back and confiscate all the guns because we know where all the guns are. We would never do that. But they just told you that it was their first agenda. What was their first agenda? They threw every stinking card. They are throwing every stinking card on the table. Does everybody see this? Now, there's a bunch of idiot sticks, the Fuds, who are doing the, oh, look, we got them to back off. These are the same Fudleys that betrayed California that are now being, part of it is propaganda from the Jewish mobsters who know how to play propaganda. Look, you got these key people. Look, you can all back off and go brain dead again. You know what they're trying to do? They're trying to get you to go brain dead. Oh, look, we can all forget and sit on our hands and dead ass now. The bad guys said that they wouldn't kill us, that they aren't going to ransack our homes. The bad guys, key word, enemy and bad guys, just said that they're not going to kill us as much as they said they were going to kill us. Well, they're still going to kill us, but they're not going to kill us as much. Mark, you see how that works? Do you see the math here? Now, by the way, hold on. This is another thing. I guarantee, even as I said that, there are a bunch of Nimrods. And this is the problem with this situation. Well, these are different. The guys in Virginia, they're not like the guys that betrayed everybody in California. These guys that are betraying us in Virginia that are supposedly pro-gun, well, they're different from the other guys. No, it's in fact the same group. You will find the same groups. The NRA betrayed the California gun owners, as did the largest California gun group that was there at the time. Back in the 90s. You don't think so? Read Neil Knox. Go find all of the old Neil Knox reports. Neil Knox. My God, he was president of the NRA. And you know why Bush didn't like him? Because he was a no-compromise president. So LaPierre, the guy who's in charge of the NRA now, who, by the way, is the guy who was in charge when they betrayed everybody in California, is the guy in charge of the NRA now that they're doing the exact same thing to Virginia that they did to California, which means we can't let it go any farther. Well, the Virginians are going to have to make a decision, and they're going to have to decide whether or not, well, mice or men, slave or free, which will you be? Are we going to be, please let me lick us your Buddhas, or sic semper tyrannis, which will it be? And by the way, remember, what's the motto of the state? Sic semper tyrannis. What does that motto mean? Thus, always tyrants. What's the symbol? Dead tyrant on the ground. Dead. He's not unconscious. He's dead. You'll notice that the guy who did it's got a sword or a spear. And there's a couple of different images because they took the image from something much older. The tyrant was killed. He was slaughtered. He was dead. He's dead, Jim. He's worse than that. He's dead, Jim. He's dead, Jim. He's dead. The tyrant needs to die.
Hey, Mark.
Caller, jump in there. We got two of them. Go ahead, caller. Whoever's right there first.
I think I'm first. I think you're right about Florida, Virginia. I think they do need to stand up. It's one thing to want to preserve a heritage that says, hey, we're easygoing, hey, we're laid back, hey, this is, the South or whatever. That's cool. But I think that's not a time to be having that kind of attitude, not in that state or any state in the Union. Over.
Well, again, this is why they picked Virginia. Okay, Virginia is a benchmark. Culpeper, I'm going to tell you where I suspect. Okay, now listen and write this down. You can always say, well, Mark, it didn't happen. I hope it doesn't, but on the other hand, wish in one hand, defecate in the other. See which one gets full first. Our enemy, the kosher mafia, loves to rub it in your face and get away with murder in places where especially they claim, you showed your strength in your teeth. Fairfax County is at risk right now. Culpeper County is at risk right now. If they are going to make an example, those are historical benchmark locations. Let me point something out. I believe Suffolk, forgive me, it's been a while for Mark, and my lumber yard is working here. Suffolk is another one, and there's a reason. The two most important documents for all of you to read in the pre-American War for Independence period, and please write this down, all of you that are listening, the Suffolk Resolves and the Fairfax Resolves. Once you read them, you will understand that the Declaration of Independence was not written in a vacuum more than a year and a half, 2 years later. However, understand that those documents were the defining benchmark for the April 19th Battle of Lexington and Concord. That right now, the state, which, by the way, let's not forget, Massachusetts is where Lexington and Concord took place, but the colonies were all, and Virginia was in the middle of this contest that had been going on for 10 years on the East Coast, which was the only part of our country at that time, in which they said, no, you have to stop this. And they used the body of law. In other words, we are subjects of the crown. Okay, fine, we're under your heel. But if we are subjects of the crown, then the crown is subject to the common law and to the laws of the empire, the laws of the crown. And if that's the case, then we have rights. And those rights are enumerated. Well, guess what? What they did is in the Suffolk and then the Fairfax Resolves. The Fairfax Resolves were the last instrument handed to the crown as war erupted. And war did not start on the 4th of July, nor did this country start on the 4th of July, 1776. That's BS. It started with a trigger pull vote where a whole bunch of ballots were cast into red coat uniforms, and we shot them back from their gun confiscation attack on the American people. That was our vote. Boom! Boom! Double tap. Remember, you got the pan go off, then the main charge. So there is method to their madness in that they've had to wait, they've grimaced. The Brits hate this. I'm not talking about the British people. I'm talking about the crown scum. And the traitors like Bush and the traitors that we've had that are all these globalists who have come into the country step by step to turn this country on its ear and turn everything upside down and hand us back to the globalists completely. The Bill of Rights is our property. It is not the government's property. The Bill of Rights is your birthright. Now, all of you are part of the checks and balance system, and that is why you're supposed to protect your birthright. Go ahead, caller. Jump in there. I think we had Tom there, too. Please, go ahead.
Yeah, the other slap in the face, considering Virginia there, wasn't the main head writer of the Declaration, Thomas Jefferson from Virginia, and Patrick Henry was also.
Right. In fact, we're the areas that we're seeing the contest in, foundationally, that's Patrick Henry's stomping ground. That's what I'm saying. There are so many overlapping elements here to pissing in the face of America, and if they're going to destroy this country, which is what I believe Trump is part of, I do not care what anybody says. Oh, Mark, I don't consider any of these people deities. And Donald Trump has been doing stuff in the last several days using executive order that is totally contrary to the whole of the body of the Bill of Rights on a massive scale. But there again, here's one of the other things. Okay, guys, all of you listening, did you see what Bloomberg just filed with the ATF? Did anybody see what Bloomberg just filed with the ATF?
I saw it, but I can't remember what it was.
Okay, what he did is because of Trump's executive order stating that bump stocks were illegal and totally violating the processes of the bureaucracy, Bloomberg is petitioning the ATF to change the 80% lower receiver rules based upon, and for anybody who doesn't understand this, based upon Donald Trump's executive order. And so that they can arbitrarily, they aren't even waiting until the next administration, people. They are trying this right now. They're not waiting till 2020 or after 2020 elections. They are doing this right now. Bloomberg, that kosher piece of bottom-feeding, yarmulke-wearing filth, Bloomberg petitions ATF to change 80% lower rules. You want to see it for yourself? Go to Guns and Gadgets. It is posted December 14, 2019. It is an excellent single piece you can let everybody see. Bloomberg petitions ATF to change 80% lower. And I'll tell you what, Edward, you know what? Let's do this. Give credit where credit's due. Somebody said somebody heard. No, let's go right to the source. Guns and Gadgets. Edward, if you could, I don't know if you're right there, you may be away for the moment. Bloomberg petitions ATF to change 80% lower rules. Go ahead and let's play that. It's 4 minutes and 49 seconds long. Part of that